Not my usual choice in weapons, but effective. And they say the bills hit hard. Don't worry about her too much. I only pick victims that have nobody to care about. What? What's in here? Seems she got some mail. Let's take a look at it real quick. You know it's a federal offense to read somebody else's mail. A confession of love? Oh, great. Well, what's done is done. Might as well have some fun reading this, huh? To my dear Mariah.
To my dear friend Mariah, we have been friends for 5 years now, but being the coward I am, I have never been able to write this simple truth, much less put it into audible words. That truth being that from the bottom of my heart and with utmost sincerity, I love you dearly. I am afraid that is all, really. I have never been much for expressing love. My brother has always been the romantic. Meanwhile, I have always been more of the straightforward persuasion, as you know. So, with great melancholy, I must confess that words greater than I love you continue to elude me. Now, you may be asking yourself, what has brought upon this confession? Well, it is a simple fact that after this day is over, I believe I may possibly never see or be able to write to you again. Let me explain with ample context and in short summary. As you know, I came to this university mustering up the little money I had and could earn in order to become a scientist, a seeker of truth, as well as to hopefully bring some prestige to my name. I wrote to you a great deal in those first few weeks, as I hope you recall. However, was soon swept up in my studies, hence the reason you have not heard from me until now. In the span between letters, much has happened, the most important of which is that I made a friend, a fellow student named Howard P. Falls, a fast-talking, slim Scottish fellow. We became fast friends, our personalities and tastes complementing the other. Howard was studying entomology and language, the reason why he never revealed the answer to until months into our friendship. You see, my friend Howard Falls wished to find the first language. An interesting pursuit, but it was the reason for this pursuit that perplexed me, as I was again of more of a scientific mind. He believed that the first language was the key to knowledge and power. Perhaps it was indeed the language the Christian God used to create the world. The abilities of angels, he believed, could be gained through discovering it. I scoffed at him, and he said that he vowed to prove it. And after that, I did not hear about the subject for a time, even as conversations and meetings grew longer. It was soon after, with winter's break approaching. Again, I apologize I could not be home, but I was immensely behind in my studies due to a sickness only a week prior, that he brought it up again. He said that he gained funds for an expedition to Africa. Of how he obtained them, I do not know, but he explained that since mankind originated from Africa, as many sources and theorists suggest, that it was possible that clues on that mysterious continent may lead him to an important discovery. I wished him luck, and he was off. Now, what Howard found there, I do not know. Upon what ground he walked, I hope is lost forever. And of that cursed place he visited, I pray that it never again see the light of day. For clues he did indeed find. He told me with glee that his clue had been found when he returned to college, and that his research was coming to a head. He locked himself in his dorm room, then absorbing himself in his work for some time. I scarcely heard from him for weeks, till one day in the middle of a pitch-black night, he came into my dorm. I remember his words clearly, for in them there was a sort of a mad glee, as I awoke, him slapping my face lightly.
"I've done it. My friend, hurry, quickly. I've done it. I've unlocked the power of the angels."
I got sat up and observed him, a tired and confused look dawning my features. He quickly explained to me that through discovery in Africa and his studies in etymology, he had deciphered the first language and gained amazing abilities. I was skeptical, of course. This seemed more in line with magic than anything scientific, and magic does not exist. Or so I thought at that point in time. I began to wonder if he was truly alright. In the head, at least. Perhaps he had caught something in Africa? Or maybe he was so overworked he had begun to imagine things. However, after a bit of goading, I was willing to go along with him to his dorm, after getting dressed in proper attire. If not to humor him, at least to put a stop to his silly fantasies. Once I was there, he turned on the lights and smiled, with that same mad glee, motioning for me to sit on his bed, which I obliged. He then dragged his chair to the middle of the room and stood back, sitting next to me, and began to mumble something unintelligible. Of their sound and of his tone, I cannot recall. What I do recall, quite clearly, is the moment after he stopped speaking, for suddenly the whole chair burst into flames. My jaw went slack, my eyes opened as wide as saucers. Even as I write this, I can hardly believe it, and I know it must sound even less believable to you, but believe me, that night I was of sound mind, and I cannot in good faith deny what I saw. He mumbled a few words then, and the flames dissipated as quickly as they had appeared. The chair was charred black and ashen, proof of what I had saw was not part of my imagination. My scientific mind was reeling. This was not just improbable. It was impossible. It went against everything my teachers taught, yet I observed it with my own eyes. Quickly, I asked him if he could do it again. Perhaps it was a magician trick. He did it, and I watched him repeat the progress, making sure there was no strings or secret levers he was using. I found no evidence for this, and yet again, The chair caught fire, and again the flames dissipated. The chair was on the verge of falling apart then, as well as my concept of the universe.
Pretty impressive, right?
I remember him saying to me. Impressive? I thought to myself. No, this was amazing. No, insane, crazy, absolutely mad. I had accused him of trickery, which he denied. Pointing at me and saying a few more words I could not decipher. I found myself then levitating off the floor, as if suddenly my blood was replaced with helium and I was turned into a balloon. I gasped, weightless. I was weightless. How? Wait, what? I stared at him as I floated higher. My feet were now aloft at a height about 40 inches. "Let me down," I gasped. He obliged, saying a few words which returned gravity to me. I caught myself on the bed frame as my feet hit the floor and stumbled. The proof was undeniable now. This was no stage show. I was no actor in on a secret. It was then that Howard said that he wished to do something utterly amazing. That he wished for me to record for a scientific journal and to perceive with my own eyes what it was he could not tell me. He said only to meet him in the woods after class the next morning. I left his dorm and made my way back to my own. I slept little that night. In class the next day, I could neither focus nor contemplate my studies. My mind was simply focused on Howard. After my last class came to an end, I could scarcely wait as I hurried through the halls and out of the college to make my way to the woods. I arrived to find Howard standing on its threshold. Joining up with him, we made our way into the trees. We came to a clearing in the woods about a mile in, and he told me to stop. I opened my notebook, which I had clutched in my hand, and drew a pen from my pocket, which I uncapped, ready to record what my friend Howard was prepared to do, eyes observing every detail with a morbid curiosity. He nodded at me and then turned away and proceeded to spout a large mass of unintelligible sentences, his words spewing forth from his tongue and into the air. And as he did, so I began to notice something in the air in front of Howard begin to shimmer, as like a heat wave in the desert, and soon something began to materialize. What did eventually appear before my eyes, I dare not describe, for even now as I write this, I can feel the image I've worked so hard to suppress attempt to make its way back into my consciousness. And I do not wish to place my mind's eye on such a demonic thing at the moment. Honestly, I wish I could never think of it again, but as I write this, I tremble. For I know soon I will have to see it soon. But I am getting ahead of myself. Howard looked as surprised as I felt. I dropped my book and pen, freezing up, being seized with a sudden terror at being in the presence of such a monster. Howard opened his mouth to speak, but the creature hit Howard before he could so much utter a syllable, making him fly back into the woods and into a tree. I did not know if he was dead or alive. All I could do was wait and see what happened to me. But the creature, that demonic thing, did not take any particular interest in me. And After standing still for a long moment, as if deciding what to do with me, it simply turned and went off into the woods. I was too stunned to move, and indeed I did nothing for a long epoch of time. Only a long moan from Howard snapped me back to my senses. I went to him. He was alive, yes, but even better, nothing was broken. I helped him to his feet, and we made our way to the college, both silent and pale, as if we had seen ghosts. Indeed, evaluating myself in a mirror soon after the experience, I believe some of my hairs had turned gray. Upon entering the college, I walked Howard back to his dorm. He turned to me and said simply in a small, sad voice,
"What have I done, my friend? I did not mean for that to happen. I said the wrong words."
"The sun is nearly gone now. I knew I should have begun writing this sooner. Time to explain is running out. I will simply add this to what is written above. After that morning in the woods, there have been odd happenings. Animals nearby the college are disappearing. Reports of a strange creature in the woods have been popping up. Property nearby and even the college itself has been subject to particular vandalisms that seem to be committed by an animal or a pack of animals. Even a few people have vanished. Meanwhile, Howard has begun to become more secluded in his dorm, not even speaking with me. That is, until today. Today, he finally broke the silence between us. He says he believes he can rid the world of this monster that he brought into this world. That he knows how to defeat it, but he needs my help. He also says there is a very large chance that we will not come out of those woods, alive at least. That is why I write this. For we are going soon, within the hour 11, to find the creature when the sun sets and darkness is upon us. The role I will play, I do not know, and if what Howard P. Falls says is true, I will most likely be dead by tomorrow. God, forgive Howard. Forgive me for even entertaining his fantasies and not stopping to question his discoveries. Regardless, this is something that must be done. The abomination must be dealt with. And if not by us, then who else? My Mariah, I love you. Forgive me. Signed, your dearest friend, Norman Clyde.
How sad. Well, he's gonna be dead by the end of the night anyway, so no skin off my nose. Gotta love it when things work out. Well, looks like I got a dead body to chop up, so ta-ta for now.